And away we go. And welcome in, fine friends, and happy and healthy and sweet new year to all that are celebrating, as we say in the business, Lashana Tova. We are recording this show a little earlier tonight as I'm celebrating the Jewish New Year. So I apologize in advance. We love this. We've talked about this every week, and we'll continue to stress this. This is a truly interactive show. We love the comments. We love to interact with people that want to discuss certain things, ask about certain picks, talk about the Bull Rush contest. So apologies tonight for that because we got a big Monday Night Football game to talk about with my Detroit Lions and my great producer, David Shire's Baltimore Ravens. We're going to get to that a little later on. But it is the Jewish New Year, so I'll be celebrating with family and friends during the regular showtime tonight. And I know we have a lot of Jewish friends that are fans that are watching. So wishing you nothing but the greatest, healthiest, happiest, and sweetest, as we say, sweet and healthy New Year. And as I mentioned, the Term Lashana Tova does mean happy and healthy New Year. So that is where we're at tonight. We have a lot to get to. We had maybe the craziest 5 to 10 minute period in the last 20 or 30 years in the NFL at the end of that 1 o'clock window yesterday. I'll get into all that in just a second here, but I wanted to start with a couple things. And, this is obviously a football show, but I'm a sports guy and I'm in Detroit and I've covered the Detroit teams for most of my professional career. And I've been a fan of them forever. And I know we got people out there that are baseball fans too. How do the Detroit Tigers consider themselves a baseball franchise when they were like a 99.9% favorite to win the AL Central, maybe even 2 weeks ago? And now I think the last I checked, the Tigers were minus $1.50. Luckily, me being the genius and very humble man that I am, I made a wager because I knew the Tigers were starting to fall apart. The deadline, Charlie Morton Salt, the deadline, garbanzo sauce, guy was DFA'd. There's a list of my good friend Tony Paul, the beat writer for the Tigers, or one of the guys that covers the Tigers for the great newspaper, the Detroit News, put up the other day. I don't have it in front of me, but the Tigers, since July, have 10 different pitchers. 7 of them are gone. Morton was DFA'd. One of them is Wolves is awful. And I'm like, listen, I got to do this. I got the Guardians at 33-1 to win the division. And like I said, now the Tigers are minus 150. Guardians are plus $128. So I just can't believe that's happening. It's either the Tigers make the playoffs, which it looks like they probably might not, even and miss the wild card entirely. Absolute garbage sauce. So credit and good riddance to you Guardians fans because you're just a better franchise, better team right now. Very frustrating. I like Scott Harris, the Tigers GM, but the moves he made this year were awful. And maybe he isn't the right guy. So just unbelievable stuff there. But at least I've got that emotional hedge with the Guardians at 33-1. And I hate to say it, I'm not actively rooting against my Tigers. But at this point, I don't care if they win the division or make the playoffs because they're going to lose in the first round anyway. So cash the ticket. All right, but let's get into the football. Before that, though, don't forget, if you've been involved with the Bull Rush Survivor contest that we've talked about at length on this show, good for you. I'm glad you are because it's been awesome. We've had so much fun kind of teaching people and introducing people to this incredibly high concept, very unique idea that my man Emperor Trent Air, the CEO of the company, and Neil and all these great people at Bull Rush, which is why I partnered with him in the first place, put together. Everyone I think knows that likes to play the ponies and is a football fan, what a Survivor contest is, where you pick one team, and you can only pick them once throughout the NFL season. You can have multiple entries, but you only use that team once. That's the traditional. I'm not saying the old and boring, but that's, been going on for a long time. I'm in a big one. It's a lot of fun to do it, but, that's just the old standard. Bull Rush has turned it on its head. And we know, as we talk about on this show, all the different wagers that I like to give you, all the different, picks that I throw out, all the different futures that we talk about, same game parlays, which I have a couple for them tonight. Couple for the Lions to take down David Shire's silly quote the Ravens nevermore. I can't wait. We got a surprise later in the show that is going to be a mano a mano David Shire squatch Ravens fight them nevermore segment. But we love that people that are watching this show are into that kind of stuff because we're into it, obviously. And what Bull Rush did is said, oh, listen, Survivor contests are great, but let's do it where you can make whatever wagers and picks you want. Minimum of 2 bet slips. You get a virtual $100,000 every week. And if you finish in the top 20, or I'm sorry, top 80%, you advance. And then once you get to, week 11 and on, it's $200 for the winner. $500 for the winner and other prizes for the top 3. But anyone that wins a week qualifies for week 20, which is first place is $50,000. But you can use whatever amount of bet slips you want, whatever amount of wagers you want. You can bet player props. You can bet sides and totals. You can do a 25-leg parlay for $1, whatever you want to do. And I think that it's just one of the most unique and cool ideas I've ever seen. And once again, it's why, one of the main reasons, but one of the many reasons that I partnered with Bull Rush, because they're awesome. They're forward thinking. They're keeping it, just kind of fresh and wanting to do things that no one has really ever done before. And so far, it's been a massive success. It's continuing to grow. And I know that there are people that are probably watching right now that are saying, oh, I missed getting into it before the season started. Well, guess what? Don't worry. Don't you fret, fine citizens. There are weekly satellites going on for the length of this, heading into the later part of the season for only $20. So go to bullrush.com, use the code EDGE, and you get a $5 sign-up bonus anyway. So basically it's $15, not $20. And you get a chance, if you finish in the top 10 of the satellite, you get into the main draw, which people paid $100 for, and a chance to win those incredible prizes, including $50K to the first place winner at week 20. Or, $100,000 in prizes. So please check that out at bullrush.com. Use the code EDGE. Get in that satellite for 20 bones with the sign-up bonus code. It's only $15. And if you finish at the top 10, you will get into the main draw, and you have a chance to win all those prizes. So I love that we're doing that the Bull Rush is doing that, because, listen, this is a new show that we started about 7 weeks ago now. It's a new concept that Bull Rush started this season, and there are people that are learning about it. I've told a lot of my friends and people in the media business that I've worked with for years, and different, gamblers and people that love, being involved with football season and making wagers and picks and that kind of stuff. And everyone I've told has just freaked out, saying that's the coolest thing I've heard, because a lot of them are in Survivor contests with the one pick, 1 week thing, or one team per week, and one, you'll use that team once that season. And that's all well and good. Like I said, I'm in a contest myself. But this is completely different and so much fun, and it really shows your versatility about not just picking a team with no point spread, but picking player props or anytime touchdowns, or, doing a 5-leg parlay with alt spreads and totals, and, taking, crazy long shot parlays with a bunch of touchdowns or player props and money line underdogs. It's awesome. So check that out, bullrush.com. And by the way, before we get into this crazy NFL week, number 3, which, by the way, a lot of the people like me, the handicappers, as I've talked about on this show, I have a great site called dtmsquatchpicks.club. I've been giving out winners forever. We love week 3 because that's where there's too much overreaction or underreaction. Like Kansas City, for example. A lot of people were on the Giants last night. I said, stay away. Casey's winning that game. They're going to cover. They did. Easy. Giants suck. We'll get to that in a minute, too. And so do the Jets. 0-6 combined, by the way. Week 3 is where you can make a lot of money, because a lot of teams there's just overreaction to teams that don't look good, or teams that have looked better than they probably are. Atlanta being one of those, 30-0 to the Panthers yesterday. That was incredibly embarrassing if you're a Falcons fan. The Falcons were so bad, they had to put Kirk Cousins back in for Penix Jr. So that's why, this is a great spot to get involved. And it's a perfect time of year to be involved in this brand new idea of the Survivor contest that Bull Rush is doing. But speaking of versatility, I'm going to have my man David throw this up. The other night, I'll admit it, sometimes we have legal casino apps here in Michigan. You play a little too late in the casino, you give back some of your winnings. I don't do it much anymore, but I definitely had one of those weird nights and was playing way too much. And I'm like, because I'm a very big golf guy. I've been making wagers on golf for a long time and have been very successful. One stretch this year, I gave out 9 of 10 outright pre-tournament winners for the PGA. But I got very frustrated. I dumped a bunch of money back after those huge wins we talked about, that anytime 4-leg touchdown parlay last week that we cashed really big. And I made a 4-leg placement parlay for the Open de France, with Brooks Koepka, Michael Kim, my man Guido Migliozzi, and Michael Lindbergh. Lindbergh almost screwed it up for me. And Michael Kim decides to go on and win. I just needed him top 5. Koepka was in number 15 at one point. He was winning for a while, finished obviously top 10. Migliozzi easily finished top 20. So we got a 22-1 after that stupid. I would have not had to worry about trying to get the money back, which I tell people never to try to do. Don't chase the money. But at least after I gaffed away some casino cash, I hit that. But just wanted to brag a little bit, show my versatility. There's your golf parlay. But the Ryder Cup this week, a lot of fun. I like the Americans, and I think I like Justin Thomas, even though he's had issues at times over the last couple of years. He's 11-1 to be the top USA points getter. He just missed out last Ryder Cup by a half point. I think that those are kind of the value plays, by the way, if you're looking to bet on the Ryder Cup. It's just taking the U.S., Europe, or the draw. You're not going to win a ton of money unless you bet a lot of money, wager a lot of money. But to me, it's getting a guy, top rookie, top points getter, top overall points getter. To me, Justin Thomas has been so good in Ryder Cup and those kind of competitions. Look at him at 10 or 11-1. There's your free play on that. But let's get into week 3 in the NFL. As I mentioned, it's where the overreactions and underreactions kind of come to a head. We had, as I mentioned, possibly the craziest 10 minutes in recent football history. First, you had that crazy Green Bay-Cleveland game where a blocked field goal leads to Cleveland winning the game. And we talked about this last week. I was all over the Cleveland Browns getting 8.5 against a team that probably in the end of the season will be way better than Cleveland is. Cleveland's got a good defense, though. But it was incredible to me to see all these people taking Green Bay in survivor pools. See Green Bay, laying the 8.5 points, which is such a weird number, especially on the road. And obviously the Packers looked good against the Lions. They were 2-0. Jordan Love been playing well. That that Cleveland defense is legit. And while the Browns can't score, my best friend Brad Schneider, Amos, my man, that's always been a Browns fan, lives in New York now. Even he admits the Browns, his expectations are very low, but obviously very excited about that yesterday. Joe Flacco can look really bad at times, but yesterday that just shows you that it's so tough to win on the road in the NFL. And when you're an 8.5-point home underdog with the kind of defense and veteran quarterback, even though he's bad at times, that Cleveland had, if you're wagering on a game like that, and I told you this on the show last week, stay away. Either take the Browns, which I thought was one of my favorite plays of the day, plus the 8.5 or buy the 10.5 through the key numbers, or just don't take the game. And don't take a team like Green Bay on the road in a game like that in a survivor pool. You really want to stay away from any road team. You want to take home teams. I mean, I broke my own rule. You have to do it sometimes. I did have Kansas City for one of my survivor entries last night as well. But listen, you got to stay away from that. It's tough to do it. It's so much parity in today's NFL. And you saw it in that game, that blocked field goal was just unbelievable. But then that wasn't it. Then you've got this incredible Eagles-Rams game where the Rams were up 19. And I was all over the Rams week. I gave you the Rams last week plus the 3.5 for the key number. One of my favorite wagers of the week. And the Eagles could not do anything right. Even the tush push worked early on, but then later on, it was all Matthew Stafford, who was also a futures play we gave out earlier this season to win the NFL MVP. I think it was 100-1. And obviously it's not a great chance of it happening, but he's been really, really good. But somehow the Eagles block a field goal and they find their way back. And it's just unbelievable to see these incredible things happen all at one point. And then the Buccaneers-Jets game. And I feel for you. I stayed away from this game. I would have touched it anyway. I like the Bucs to win it. I don't, to win this game. But if you have the Buccaneers and you are about to kick a field goal to go up, what was it? I think it was 6. So it would have been 2 scores. And then they block it and score a touchdown. And then obviously the Bucs had a minute 55 and all their timeouts and had a chance to come back. Listen, it's one of those things where you do not see necessarily just one block field goal to touchdown, but 2 and 3 that affect their games. Obviously the Packers game was one of them. You said that crazy end of the Eagles game, and then obviously the Jets game as well, where they end up covering because of this crazy scenario that all happened within 10 minutes. I think the odds have to be in the hundreds of thousands to have 3 games. 2 of them end up being winners, and one completely blows the spread because that Eagles return with no time left off the blocked field goal. The Rams were covering. Eagles then win the game by 7, and they were, giving 3.5. I felt bad. I was watching the game in a VIP room at one of the local casinos here in Detroit, and I like to play the ponies, but I don't wager a ton of money. I'm successful, but I don't. Some of these guys are betting 5, 10, 20, 30 grand a game in this VIP room I'm in. And this guy next to me, really nice guy, probably takes too many chances in the way he bets on some certain stuff. He legitimately, if the Rams had covered, I think was going to win 15,000. He didn't bet 15,000. I think he bet he had a $500 3 or 4 leg parlay, whatever it was. He was going to win 15 grand. And that blocked field goal returned for the touchdown as time expired, wiped out his ticket. He handled it well. I think he walked out of the room for a minute, but if you listen to the guy, he knows that some things happen. I said that will never happen again for the rest of your wagering life. And that just an incredible stretch of 10 minutes with those 3 games and blocked field goals. Luckily, if you're a Bucs fan or if you had them in a Survivor entry, they come back. They win the game, even a game they probably should have won anyway. Mayfield had a pretty nice afternoon, 19-29 for 233 and a touchdown, no real mistakes. Bucky Irvin, I thought would be better in that game, but I'm on Ibuka, the great young wide receiver. 6 receptions for 85 yards. He makes such big plays, made a huge play late in the game to help them get into field goal range and win that thing in the end. But what an incredible stretch, that 3-game stretch. And I know that Eagles game knocked a lot of people's, parlays away or major bets on the Rams plus 3.5, which I was on, and thought that was a great play. I did tease or alt spread to the Rams to 7.5 and 10.5 as well. But one of the main plays I liked was the Rams plus 3.5, and a lot of the sharps were on that as well. So, I feel for you, but that will not happen again probably for the rest of your life. Putting wagers on games. It was out of control to see that happen within 10 minutes. One of the great 10-minute stretches in the history of the NFL in the last 20, 30 years, maybe ever, with just insane things happening. And the only team that ended up winning after giving up that blocked field goal was the Bucs, because obviously the Packers lost and the Rams lost. But to have 3 of them happen, just unbelievable. So then you had that, and on the other side, obviously, of that Buccaneers game is the Jets, who are 0-3. Obviously, Justin Strawberry Fields isn't hurt. The Giants, 0-3. You've got the 2 New York teams, at least from the metropolitan area, 0-6. I know that people were on social media last night were saying, New York's team is the Buffalo Bills, which are my Super Bowl pick, by the way. I did give out the Commanders and Bills before the season started, 40-1 Super Bowl matchup. All they got to do is play each other. Doesn't matter who wins. But I think maybe right now, even metropolitan New Yorkers and people right around New Jersey are going to try to accept that the Bills are New York's team. But 0-6 for the Giants after they go down on Sunday Night Football in an embarrassing performance against the Chiefs. The Chiefs, we knew they were dead. They're obviously not the team they've been the last couple of years. Doesn't mean they can't get back to something close to that, sure. But Kelsey's having his issues. Mahomes looks great at times, awful at others. Obviously, they've got Rashee Rice suspended. They got Xavier Worthy hurt. Thornton was awesome last night. What a great young kid he is. 5 receptions for 71 yards and a touchdown. He was a big reason they won. But right now, the Chiefs just saved themselves. They got themselves with their head above water. If they had lost that game, even though we have an extra wild card in each conference now, things would have felt really, really dire. Because if you look at teams in the last 20 years that have started 0-3, only one has made the playoffs. If you want to go back to 1990, there are only 4 teams since 1990 that have made the playoffs after starting 0-3. And I know because the Lions of 93 were one of them. The Lions were one of them. I think it was 1993. But that is such a tough way to start in today's NFL. Obviously, 0-4 teams, I don't think there's ever been an 0-4 team that's made the playoffs. But you can't start 0-3, especially if you're Kansas City and you're playing a team like the Giants on the road. The Giants aren't very good. Yes, they could have lost that game, Kansas City, because they're not playing great. But you had to win that game, and we'll see what KC can do these next few weeks, because it doesn't get that much easier for the Chiefs when it comes to who they're playing. They've got the Ravens next week. We got to pick on that game coming up a little later in the show. Then they're on the road to a much tougher Jaguars team. Then they play the Detroit Lions in Kansas City on Sunday Night Football. So, then the Raiders after that and the Commanders after that. They do have those 3 games at home, so they get lucky to play the Lions, Raiders, and Commanders all at home. But then they're right back on the road at the Bills. So we're going to see a lot before November, or the first week of November. We're going to know if Kansas City is the kind of team that can make a run again, or if maybe this is kind of, it's not the end of the dynasty. Mahomes, as long as he's there, they're going to have a chance. And obviously, Andy Reid's an incredible coach. But this could be the end of what we're used to seeing with Kansas City, at least for now. They would have to rebuild themselves on the fly. I don't think Mahomes is ever going to get traded from them, but you never know, or maybe they'll let him walk at some point. But I think the Mahomes wants to stay there. He loves it. Reid likes coaching. So we'll see where they're at in the next, I would say 5 or 6 games are going to really show you where they're at. A couple other things that really kind of stood out to me. How about the battle of the backup quarterbacks with Wentz and Jake Browning go up? The Bengals kind of keep their head above water last week when Joe Burrow went out. Minnesota, who I think even hopefully JJ McCarthy can get back and not keep getting injured. I like them, as far as the kind of team that might be able to be a playoff team this year. 48-10 with a backup in Wentz, who didn't even have that. I mean, I don't want to say a bad game. He's only 14-20 for $173. He did have 2 touchdown passes, no mistakes. Mason was incredible in the run game for Minnesota, 16 carries for $116, and he had 2 touchdowns. Jefferson 5 receptions, 75 yards. But they just had big play after big play after big play after big play. And the Bengals, who came to that game, at 2-0, they are now a team that looks like they are on the precipice of maybe things getting really bad, because Burrow might not be back at all this year. And if he is, it'll be in December. They've got some tough games coming up. They're on the road at Denver. After Denver, which we're going to get to in a minute, lost a tough game to the Chargers. Then they play the Detroit Lions in Cincinnati. Then they're on the road at Green Bay. So back-to-back NFC Central games against the Lions and Packers. Then they are home against the Steelers. Then they got some easier games then. But the Bengals, you would think right now, the way that they are so different without Joe Burrow, maybe Jake Browning can continue to improve and he can keep their head above water and maybe give a chance for Burrow to come back late and get into the playoffs. But that was a team that I fully believed would have a chance to make a run in the AFC. That, to me, is out the window. And obviously, you can't get that mad with that bad loss with the backup quarterback. But, boy, it should have been a lot better than 48-10. And if you're Minnesota, you're feeling a lot better with McCarthy hurt right now. At least your head's above water with that 2-1 record. They could have dropped to 1-2. This is another big question I have as well. Are the Chargers the best team in the AFC? We gave them out to you early in the preseason, 20-1. I've got some updated plays for you later in the show when it comes to the Chargers and their futures odds. Of course, the Ravens and the Bills are the 2 best teams in the AFC right now. That's just the bottom line. But I think sneakily, when all is said and done, this Chargers team, so well coached by Jim Harbaugh, getting my rookie of the year candidate, Omarion Hampton, which we gave out on this show at 10-1. His odds have kind of fallen off, but he had a great game yesterday in the win against the Broncos. He's going to be a big deal, on the ground for them. Herbert, incredible, 28-47 for 300 yards and a touchdown. Makes such incredible plays with his feet and his arms. The Chargers defense is so good. I don't think the Chargers are a better team right now than the Ravens or the Bills, but I think that they could end up being the best team in the AFC. That's why I'm asking the question. Are they even in a sneaky way right now? Because they're not this second, but are they the best team or will end up being the best team in the AFC? That's why I love them for the Super Bowl, and that's why I love them to win the AFC, because they've got a chance if they keep getting better and better. And Harbaugh, as you know, national title at Michigan, did the great stuff in San Francisco before he wore out his welcome. Went to FCS St. Diego back in his first job, turned them into back-to-back 11-win seasons after they had been garbage for a while. Look what he did at Stanford. I mean, they had the biggest upset at that point, one of the top 2 or 3 biggest point spread upsets ever when they beat Pete Carroll and USC. They would shake each other's hands. So this Chargers team is legit. Great defense, solid offense. Quentin Johnson, I mentioned Omarion Hampton. This is going to be a very dangerous team, and I think they've got a chance to end up being the best team in the AFC. All due respect to, obviously, the Bills, who are my overall Super Bowl pick, but I gave out the Chargers and Bills as far as the AFC teams go. I was not on the Ravens. I love the Ravens. They're a great team, but I'm not taking 5 or 6-1. They were the favorite, and they have a chance to get there, but they haven't been able to close in recent years. And then on the other side of that 23-20 Chargers win over the Broncos, is the Broncos. And it was fun. If we can, Davonshire, throw up that picture. This is a twofold picture because I took my friend, baby Dave Rieger, one of my best friends, longtime producer in the broadcasting industry and a Broncos sycophantic wacko fan. This was the day before when Michigan obviously took down Nebraska, but I took him back the next day. This is the VIP room I talked about with all the different TVs. And I was sitting next to him, and I wasn't going to embarrass him too much today, but I did take a video and some pictures because he is I'm a huge Lions fan. He is as big of a Broncos fan as they get. And I got to sit next to him and just keep asking him ridiculous questions like, Dave, is this is this a rough day for you? Dave, are the Broncos gonna, I just kept asking like ridiculous, very probably annoying questions. What was the other one I was asking him? I was saying, Dave, your thoughts on that Justin Herbert pass? Dave, your thought on Bo Nix sucking? I just kept doing it, just trolling him over and over again. But I think the Broncos are the most overrated team in football right now. And, this is a team that I told you before the season started on this show, take the under 8.5 as far as the win totals go. They're not a team that's going to win the division. Chargers are the big favorite now, and even the Chiefs are obviously much better than the Broncos. And I think this Broncos team, the way Bo Nix is playing, could miss the playoffs. And I know a lot of people, even some people I respect and trust, were taking the Broncos to be the Super Bowl winner or to win the AFC. Now, could that still happen? I guess. I mean, could the Cleveland Browns win the rest of their games and win the Super Bowl? Sure, that could happen too. It's about a 0.4% chance. I think this Broncos team isn't very good. Poor baby Dave, by the way. And they had that game, I don't want to say won, but they probably should have, the way they played in the second half after opening up so terribly in the first half. But they've got a Bo Nix problem in his second year. 14-25 for 153 yards and a touchdown, a QBR of 38.5. Dobbins had a nice game, the former Chargers running back, with almost 100 yards on the ground and a touchdown. And Sutton is incredible with 6 catches for $118 and a touchdown. But everyone else, receiver-wise, Troy Franklin was garbage, R.J. Harvey, Lucas Krull, Mims Jr. The offense doesn't look good. The defense is giving up a lot of penalties and stupid penalties. I think the Broncos are, if not the most, one of the 2 or 3 most overrated teams in the NFL right now. And they have got a game. Now, this is another thing I was making fun of Dave saying, because Dave always trolls me about the Lions. He's lived in Michigan his whole life, and yet he's a Broncos fan. I've lived all over the world, like 7 or 8 different places, always have stayed true to the Lions. So it's another silly thing that baby Dave does. But he's one of my best friends, and I love him. But I said, he's like, oh, we'll win next week. If they lose to the Broncos on Bengals on Monday Night Football in Denver, the Broncos are going to miss the playoffs. They've got the Bengals. They should win that game. Then they're on the road at the Eagles, home for the Jets, home for the Giants, home for the Cowboys. The schedule opens up so nicely for a team that has not started well, but we're going to know a lot about this team by the end of October after that Cowboys game, that if they are not above 500, they are not going to be a playoff team, in my opinion. So we'll see about Denver, which I know a lot of people were really on to be like a big, I don't want to say a surprise team because they made the playoffs last year, but to be like a real top 2 or 3 AFC team, to be, have a great outside chance at a Super Bowl run with Sean Payton, who obviously has been there and won it before. I wasn't buying that. I told you in the early preseason, one of our first versions of this show, take the under 8.5 and enjoy yourself. So hopefully you listen to me to that as well. And one more thing I wanted to throw out here before we show you a little more on the Survivor Contest and get into a very special discussion I want to have with my great producer. I think you got to talk about the Colts right now as not being one of the top 3 teams in the AFC. I think that is definitely, obviously, Baltimore, Buffalo, and the Chargers. But that this is a team with Danny Dimes, with Daniel Jones, that is getting better and better and better. And while the Titans obviously are a work in progress, they've got a rookie quarterback, first overall pick in Cam Ward, who is showing flashes, but this is not a really good Titans team right now. The Colts just blasted them 41-20 on the road. Anytime you saw Cam Ward and the Titans, by the way, Cam Ward cost me a big parlay. I needed one more touchdown pass, but I still love the kid. Every time they kind of would gain a little momentum, the Colts found a way just to throw it right back in their face. It was a great day for Jones. Jonathan Taylor is incredible on the ground. You had Pittman Jr. with a 20-yard touchdown catch. Taylor had a 46-yard run for a touchdown. Another one for from 1 yard out. The Colts offense is scary, and the defense is starting to play pretty good. So to me, you can't forget about the Colts when you're having a discussion about the best teams in the AFC and the best teams in football right now. They're not one of the best teams in football, but they're definitely one of the better teams in the AFC and a team that can make a run if things, keep going forward. I was just looking at their odds to win the Super Bowl. They're 30-1. I'm not going to take them to do that, but I do look at them in the AFC. They're 14-1 to win the AFC. If they keep playing the way they are, those odds are going to keep going down. So if you want to put a little sprinkle on the Colts to win the AFC, I would do it now at 14 to 15-1. They have been really, really impressive. They're the team that will have decent odds because everyone's putting money on the Bills and the Ravens and the Chargers, some still putting money on KC, which I don't believe will be in the Super Bowl or winning the AFC this year. But when are you ever going to count Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid out? So the Colts, to me, are a team you got to keep abreast of right now. All right, let's take a quick respite. I want you to watch a little bit here on the Bull Rush Survivor Contest, and then a very special situation when it comes to Ravens and Lions and quoting them nevermore on the other side of this.
You want a shot at $50,000 in cold, hard cash? Well, Bull Rush just dropped a new sports comp, the NFL Survivor. And the total prize pool, a massive $100,000. First place gets 50 grand, straight up. Think you got the picks to survive 20 weeks? Here's how it works. Start each week with a 100K fantasy bankroll. Make picks using real NFL odds. Place in the top 80% and you survive. Below that, you're out. Your bankroll resets each week, so a bad week doesn't kill your season. Make it to week 20, and you and all the other survivors split the entire $100,000. You want the bag? Prove it. Join NFL Survivor only on Bull Rush.
Now, you saw that guy in that incredibly well put together video. He's got the cash right there. David, you told me that was your bonus. Where's my bonus?
This is I'm holding this safe here. This is for the 100,000. This is for whoever wins the NFL Survivor right here. But I don't know why they trusted me with this, but I got it.
I have no clue. It would be like trusting a baby with I don't know, a knife. I will.
You see me driving with a new Corvette to work tomorrow. You know what happened.
Yeah, it reminds me of Big Lebowski when Little Larry. It wasn't even Little Larry's Corvette, and they smashed the car anyway.
Yeah, I'm so mad. I forgot to wear my Ravens jersey. I was going to wear my Ray Lewis jersey today, but I usually wear it every game day.
But so I told you I have a surprise. We're going to talk a little football here in a minute before I get into my futures plays and picks for the upcoming week and my same game parlay for this game as well. But I told you I wasn't going to. You wanted me to give you some ideas of what we're going to talk about, and I normally will tell you most things, but I did want to give this a total surprise edge. So you and I are going to make a $5,000. No, I'm just kidding. You and I are going to make a wager tonight, and I'm going to let you name the terms. It could be for like a steak dinner. It could be for a hot air balloon trip around the world. You get to name both the stakes and how you want to do it. And I have not planned this with you beforehand. Mm-hmm. It's totally up to you. You also get to decide, are we doing a point spread bet? Are we doing a straight up bet? Like I mentioned, my good friend and also Broncos sycophantic wacko, Baby Dave Rieger, we made a blowout bet. Like he thinks the Lions, because he always thinks the Lions are going to get blown out, and he's wrong all the time. So we made a blowout bet where if the Lions lose by 10 or more, I owe him a certain more amount of money than I would have because the spread's only 4.5 right now for the game. Yeah. And if the Lions lose by 9 or less, he owes me money. So you get to choose everything, but I'm making you do it on the fly right now. If I were you, I would say we'll bet $500,000, a Corvette, and a spaceship. Now, what do you want to do, and how do you want to do it?
Well, I know you like sushi.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Before we get into this, there's probably people watching for the first time. David Shire used to work for the Ravens. He was their coach for a few years, got fired after a bad season. Now, David is a very big Ravens fan. I am a very big Lions fan. So this is just a knockdown, throwdown, street fight between him and I, even though we love each other normally.
So I already have personally, I already placed a bet on the point spread. I think it was like 4.5 or something, minus 4.5 for the Ravens.
Yeah, it's 4.5 right now. I mean, it depends. It depends on the shop, but it's 4.5.
Yeah, I did on Hard Rock. So whatever Hard Rock, I think Hard Rocks was like 3 something. But either way,
bring up other names of sites. Are you breaking your own rule? I made what you should say is you made it on Snart Snock. I made my bet on Snansnool. So
I made it on Bull Rush is what I meant.
Yes.
And that's so on Bull Rush right now, the line is minus 4.5 for the Ravens. I know you already did a point spread bet, or pick. So if you want to do a different pick, I'm
why don't we
totally
do
fine
this?
on
Why don't we
that.
do this? All right. We'll do a straight up bet.
Okay.
So obviously you are a big favorite.
Yes.
Ravens win. Obviously you win. Lions win, I win. But we'll do it like, so what do you want to do it for? Are we doing this for, like, do I need to be your butler for a week? You need to be my butler for a week. Like, you get to choose the stakes.
Well, I was going to say, I know you love sushi, so I'll get you sushi if you win. And I love, I'm not a biggest sushi fan. I eat sushi every once in a while, but it's not my favorite. We could do steak for sushi.
Okay, so this is the way it will work considering you're a big favorite. If the Lions pull the upset, I get double sushi.
Yeah.
If the Ravens win, you get steak.
That's fair. That's fair.
Because right now,
unless you want to do the point spread, I'm happy to do a point spread too. I just already know you already have a point spread with somebody else.
This is why I'm letting you choose, because it's good negotiation. I like doing this live. I wasn't going to prep this beforehand because it's more fun this way.
No, I like this.
How about this? Now, all right, this is what I really like, because I'm kind of giving away part of my Squatch's same game Monday Night Parlay, which I put both on Bull Rush and another place too. I like the Lions alt spread plus 7.5. So now it's the opposite. Why don't we do that? Mm-hmm. And now it goes the other way. That since I get the 7.5, if the Ravens cover the 7.5, you get steak and 2 sides plus dessert. And if I win, I get regular sushi.
Gotcha. So the line's plus 7.5.
Yeah. So I get the line 7.5. If you win, you get steak. You know what? You get steak for you and your wife. And I just get a sushi meal.
I'll take it. I'll take it. That's a deal. I think that's fair. That's fair. I feel confident with that. So
yeah, just so people, because maybe people are wondering, what we're always transparent here. If people are wondering what the line is for the alt spread, I will tell you right now. So if you take the Lions, because it's part of my parlay that I'll get to in a minute here. If you take the Lions, it's amazing how many props there are, by the way, Dobbin. There used to be like 20, now there's like 500. So if you take the Lions plus 7.5, which is obviously through the key number, and guess what? It's plus 180 or minus 180. 18, it's the Jewish New Year. 18 is Chai in Hebrew. It's a very lucky number. So Dobbin, I think you're going to lose. So yeah, it's minus 180 to take the Lions plus 7.5 if people are wondering. I do love it. And for people that are just joining and maybe are new to the wagering and stuff, Dobbin, key numbers in college and pro football are 3, 7, 10, 14. Think about how scores work. You get 2 touchdowns, it's 14 points. You get 2 field goals or a touchdown, a field goal, it's 10. Obviously, 6 can be a key number too in a certain way with 2 field goals, but it's normally 3s and 7s. So I want to get that through the key number, because that way if the Ravens win by a touchdown, you still win your bet. All right.
The Ravens are home. Yeah, the Ravens are home. Okay, I just want to make sure. Yeah. I think we're going to
know the Ravens were home.
I had to double check. I thought they were home, but I just wanted to double check.
Let me tell you something right now. If the Ravens weren't at home, I would be at the game right now. I'd be in downtown Detroit. So
I know.
The Lions.
I just had to double check. Yeah.
I do have a good friend, my broadcast partner, Lawton Sluntz. He lives in Richmond, Virginia. He comes in to do some of the games with us here. He used to live in Michigan for most of his life. He works for Xfinity, and they gave him, because I guess they're bringing clients. They do some stuff in Baltimore. He lives like 2 hours from there, but it's not that bad of a drive. They gave him club seats, but then 2 clients aren't showing up. So now he's in the suite tonight. He's in the suite in M&BT Bank Stadium. So
that's awesome.
He's a Dolphins fan, but he also, they're his main team, but he's a Lions fan because he lived in Michigan. So obviously if the Dolphins are playing, he's really is a Lions fan. So that's going to be a lot of fun for him to be in Baltimore. Grab cakes.
And that's I don't know if you've ever been to M&T Bank Stadium, but that is an electric stadium. I don't know if they still have the record, but I know they're one of the loudest stadiums out of all of the, they've gotten a record in the past.
Oh yeah. They many different years have been. Now for a long time,
I don't know if it still is, but last I checked, I remember they were, and I go in there and it's ear crushing. It feels like you're in a concert. So I really think, I'm not going to say it's a blowout, but I definitely think we can cover that spread for the Ravens. So,
hold on. So I'll tell you this. It's one of those things where the Silverdome for years, our old stadium here for the Lions, was the loudest Rich Stadium, the old Rich Stadium before they kind of redid it a little bit. now they're really redoing it, a multi-billion-dollar stadium in Buffalo. That was the loudest. Kansas City Arrowhead's been one of the loudest, but I know that there's been years where M&BT Bank Stadium was definitely number one or number two. It is crazy there. I actually have never been to a game there. I've been to the stadium several times, but I've never actually seen a game there. Have you got a chance to see your quote the Ravens Nevermore there before?
So I actually was there on one of I was there for the game that Ray Lewis tore his I think it was bicep or tricep. I think it was bicep. Yeah. So I was there. I was able to see the prime time of the Ravens when it was, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Haloti Ngata. We had all those great guys back there. So yeah, no, I Michael Orr. I hate Michael Orr, by the way, but not for the movie. Great in the movie. Great movie. Great movie. Just he was Mr. Penalties on the Ravens. So I'm glad. Glad we're over that. But I was there for prime time Ravens. So I remember it was Christmas. I think it was the Christmas week game when I went, and oh my gosh, I'll never forget that. Unfortunately, only one game, but I hope to go to more soon. Maybe we'll go to one together.
All right. Well, we're obviously excited about the game tonight. I got a couple things I wanted to talk with you before I give out the rest of my plays on the show today. Yeah. But first, let's just talk about this game. To me, I mean, you're missing your great nose tackle, your great defensive tackle. You got Isaiah Likely out as well. I think the Lions will be able to run tonight. I think it's going to be very tough for the Lions to win this game outright because the Ravens are such an incredible team. But if Detroit cannot turn the ball over and have, Jared Goff has been so good in big situations, spread the ball to Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams on some big plays. Obviously, Sam Laporta, the tight end, Isaac Tesla. I think you had one of your fantasy things.
Yep.
And obviously, Gibbs and Montgomery on the ground. I think the Lions are going to be able to run a lot on the ground tonight. I think they can hang in this game and keep it a one-possession game. But listen, the Lions have a terrible history. Going back to even when Stoney Case was the starter years ago in Baltimore, they've gotten blown out a bunch of times, including the last time they were there a few years back. How do you see this game playing out tonight? Are you nervous about having some injuries on defense that could prevent the Ravens from stopping the run the way they normally do?
Yeah, I think beyond the run, I'm also I think we have 2 or 3 of our who is out? I just looked it up. We have 3 DBs out as well of our starters. So I'm more worried about those red zone coverage short passes, honestly. So I think that's where you guys are really going to highlight on us. And I just hope we can lock in those. Honestly, I just hope that we can run the score up on offense enough to get a good lead on you guys where you guys are afraid to pass and you guys just start running it. And then hopefully we can shut down the run.
As you know, the Lions are a good team, but as I mentioned, they've got a bad history in Baltimore. If it wasn't for those injuries, I mean, the Ravens are so good that if it wasn't for that defensive, the depth issues they're having on that side of the ball, I think the spread would be closer to 6. I don't think it would have gotten to 7 or 7.5 because the Lions are not a 7.5 point underdog to Baltimore. But I think that it's because of those injuries. This line was 4.5, then it was 5.5, then it was back to 4.5, and it's kind of bouncing around. It's going like right now up to the second. I'm looking at it, and it's 4.5 minus 102, which what that means for the Lions, that is, or minus 104. What that means is that there's, it's very close to being a 5 or 5.5 point spread, but it would be, to me, I think a 6 or 6.5 if there wasn't these massive injuries, which will prevent the Ravens from completely stopping a Lions ground attack that could have Gibbs have 125 yards on the ground, rushing and receiving. Could have Montgomery score 2 touchdowns and have a bunch of yards on the ground. So I think it's going to be, I like the over. I'm going to get to the full parlay in a little bit here. I like the over. I like the Lions to have a lot of good, things on the ground rushing wise. And I think that it's going to be a higher scoring game. It's kind of a track meet. And you'll see a lot of great moments from, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and the Ravens offense, even though without Isaiah Likely, which is, I think, a big loss too. And you'll see a lot of good moments on the Lions offensive side of the ball. I think defense, now it won't be optional tonight, Donovan, but it's going to be not the way that I think both teams would hope their defense would play in a game like this. So I think it's going to be an exciting game on Monday Night Football, and I can taste the sushi right now. I'm going to get like some octopus, maybe some squid, some toro, and I'll probably get like at least 1 or 2 caterpillar rolls.
Oh, I'm gonna get a nice strip. Maybe some crab meat, depending on where we get it from on top. I like the little crab meat.
It's called Oscar style. It's crab meat.
Oscar style, yeah, Oscar style. Yep. Yep, I might get a little Oscar style, but yeah, no, I'm hoping it's a blow. I'm hoping it's just a shootout for both teams, and it'll be an exciting game, especially with our defense how it is. So I just hope we can keep up, and I hope we run it up enough to where you guys are scared to pass.
We ain't scared of nothing. Listen, a couple things before I let you go, and then we'll get to my picks. And I just want to say this again. We brought you on for a minute last week because I want people to know who you are, because you work so hard and you do such a great job on this show. And that's one of the main reasons this show is gotten off to such a great start, and people are really enjoying it. So I want to give you praise for that again. But, I know you're a big NFL guy like me, and I got a couple of different questions for you when it comes to where we're at right now in the NFL. What to you has surprised you the most through these first 3 weeks? Obviously, we're not done with week 3 yet. We're about to be. But what would you say is the thing that has really kind of surprised you the most when it's come to a team, a player, red zone having commercials? What is it?
So, I mean, I know that's the question you asked me beforehand. So I was thinking a little bit about it.
I didn't want to ask you prep questions.
I know. But I like to think a little bit. And I was going to say, honestly, the rookies this year have really surprised me, which they really have. But honestly, beyond that, I was looking at some lines. Justin Herbert, you were talking about the Chargers here a little bit and how that might be an interesting pick here for the Super Bowl. I think Justin Herbert could be a good pick for the MVP as just a long shot pick, just the way he's been playing. I know his line is right now plus 2,000 to win the NFL MVP. And,
200 to 1,
just like
200 to 1, 200 to 1
yeah.
for people that don't know the 2,000.
Or 200 to 1. So, as like a Hail Mary for MVP, I really like that. And I think they're 3-0. I think he's really surprised me this season.
I like that. By the way, I think you're looking at the wrong odds, because he's actually 5.5 to 1, sir.
I was looking. Oh, I don't want to say where I was looking, but yeah, I was looking.
Maybe you're looking for maybe it was a different award, but he right now for the MVP. Remember, there's 2 awards. There's the AP NFL Regular Season MVP Award. And then there's also the AP NFL Offensive Player of the Year Award, which normally goes to a running back, and it doesn't go to quarterbacks as much as the MVP does. Right now, the MVP favorite is Josh Allen. No value on him, 2.5 to 1. Lamar Jackson, your silly Raven guy. No, he's great. Almost 3 to 1. Herbert's the third favorite at 5.5 to 1. So maybe you were looking at like Herbert to throw 700 touchdown passes. Then for Offensive Player of the Year, which is much tougher for a quarterback to win, Herbert is 55 to 1. So that might be something to look at as a value play. But like I said, that's an award that I took Jamar Chase at 100 to 1 before Burrow got hurt, obviously, to win Offensive Player of the Year. Because, like I said, it's normally like a running back like Jonathan Taylor's the favorite right now at 4.5 to 1. Derrick Henry, 6.5 to 1. Puka Nacua, 7.5 to 1. McCaffrey, 8.5 to 1. Barkley, 10 to 1. It normally goes to a running back. Not that quarterbacks haven't won it before, but the MVP usually goes to a quarterback. Obviously, the first, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. The first 15 favorites right now for AP NFL MVP are all quarterbacks. The first one that is not is Saquon Barkley at 100 to 1 after Dak Prescott. So
I just looked at a place where you place a lot of your picks, and it is plus 550 there. Huh? Yeah, Stan Sewell. I was looking at.
What were you looking at? What was he 100 to 1 at?
It was the plus 2,000 was on FET CMM CGM. I don't know. MGM. I don't know.
That can't be the real line. There's no way they have 200 to 1 right now.
It was an article. So underneath it says plus 2,000, and then they say plus 600. So they had two in small writing.
They were a liar. They lied to you.
Nick Hennion. So Nick Hennion.
That guy, or call him out, man.
Yeah, Nick Hennion, get your numbers right, brother.
But no, I love where you're going with that, because I think, listen, I got to be honest, Davin, there's value at 5.5 to 1. I mean, it's not great value, but Josh Allen, if the Bills keep playing the way they are, he's probably going to win the MVP. He's just that good.
Yeah.
And I know obviously with Jackson have traded the last couple of years, but you look at Herbert at 5.5 to 1, when they're 3-0, he's a huge, I would say probably the biggest reason they are. And I before the season, I like Jaden Daniels. I gave him out on the show, and he's still got a chance if he stays healthy. But if you're going to take Herbert, you got to do it now, because
he's got a hot celebrity girlfriend, which
he does
that that helps. That, there's a trend of these football players getting these hot celebrity girlfriends, and things start happening for them. So
she
I
is
think
soup's hot. But I'll say this. When you look at the Chargers, you look at their schedule the next few weeks. Commanders at home. I mean, we'll see the status of Jada Daniels. At the Dolphins, who are god awful. Home against the Colts. Home against the Vikings. We don't know if McCarthy will be healthy. At the Titans, they could. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to be 7-8-0. They could be 7-1, 6-2. He could become the favorite. So I love where you're going with that. I'm glad you brought it up. If you're someone that believes that Herbert has a great chance to win the MVP, you got to take it now, because those 5.5 to 1 odds are going to go down to 4 and then 3, and then maybe he's the favorite at 2.5 to 1. All right, last one for you. Thank you again for always being the best. When it comes to right now, this second, and I should probably make you not allow you to use the Ravens, but no, this second, who is your Super Bowl matchup and winner? Is it still your preseason pick that we talked about? And let everyone know what that was, because if they might have missed that show. Or because mine's still the Bills and the Commanders that I gave out as a bet at 40 to 1 for that exact Super Bowl matchup. I still have the Bills. They're my preseason Super Bowl pick to win it. I mentioned, obviously, I gave the Chargers out 20 to 1. I give out multiple picks for sometimes, but I'm a main one. And it's still the Bills, and it's still the Commanders to get there. Hopefully, Jada Daniels can stay healthy. But where are you at with that? Has it changed? Because I do believe you did give out your homegrown team before.
I did give out my homegrown team. I'm trying to remember who. Honestly, I don't even. I know it was Ravens.
I think it was the Eagles. I think you had the Eagles.
I think that's. I think that's.
I'm pretty sure it was Baltimore Eagles on that first show we did.
Yeah. I would still go with that. I would stick with that. I like the ball. I like the bowl of the birds.
Trying to see if they take them down. Hold on, I want to see if I can get conferences. The exact matchup. That's got to be. I'm guessing that's probably 5 or 6 to 1.
I took that when we went on that first show, so I'm gonna, just for juju reasons, I'm gonna stick with that.
Oh, here it is. I found.
And I like that. I still like that as well.
Yeah, Ravens Eagles is 15 to 1 right now. It is by far the favorite, along with Ravens Packers. As I'm trying to see if there's anything. Oh no, I'm sorry. Bills Packers is 13 to 1. Bills Eagles is 13 to 1. So you're right around in the top 3 or 4 favorites as far as matchups go. That's not bad. I mean, Eagles, I got to tell you, with that nice comeback yesterday, Eagles Ravens at 15 to 1 is not bad to put a nice little 50 bones or $100 wager on right now. If you believe that those are the two teams, that's only going to keep going down. So I like where your head's at with that. See, I don't have to give you the questions beforehand. You always slice them, except when you read bad articles that give you the wrong odds.
Yeah, no, I don't. I just pulled that one up right while we were talking, and I looked at it.
200 to 1.
Yeah, no, I don't. I
put it out for $1,000. I win $2 million.
I think it was clickbait because it was the first sentence, and then you scroll a little further, and it says plus 600 or plus 5, whatever it is. So I think that was a clickbait article. I got tricked.
All right. Well, thank you for everything you do. Why don't we take a short little respite, show the kids again about the Survivor contest, and we'll get back, and I'll finish everything with my futures and plays to look forward to, including tonight's Squatch Same Game Parlay.
Great great being on.
Hey, this isn't fantasy football. It's real competition. Welcome to the NFL Survivor Tournament. You versus the field. $100 to enter. $100,000 in total prizes. $50K to the winner. Start each week with a $100K bankroll. Pick games, win returns. Top 80% survive. Bottom 20%, you're out. Bankroll resets weekly, no carryover. 20 weeks, 100K. Will you take home the cash? Sign up, lock in, and let's see if you've got the guts to survive.
It could be you. And don't forget, you got those satellite contests going on just for $20 to get into the main draw. All you got to do is finish in the top 10. And, listen, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's not incredibly hard to finish in the top 10 when it comes to, if you have a good week. And let's say you don't get it this week, you can try again next week, and you have a pretty good chance of getting into that main draw. It only costs you $20. If you use the code EDGE, you save $5. So you get a $5 sign-up bonus. Only costs you $15. So there you go. Check that out at bullrush.com. All right, before we get out of here, I got some plays for you, including we do this every week. my Squatch same game Monday Night Football parlay. I got 2 of them for you, actually. But I want to reemphasize this again. And big thanks again to Davin. Really just does an incredible job producing this show, does an incredible job at Bull Rush, and I'm very grateful to know him. I'm now best friends with his wife, and he's going to owe me some sushi, so it's going to be a lot of fun. But we'll enjoy eating that together. Maybe I'll get him a steak anyway, just because I'm a nice guy. Chargers are now down to 15-1 to win the Super Bowl and 7-1 to win the AFC. It's the best I think you're going to get. I just told you their schedule coming up. For those that are just joining, I will, I want to make sure people didn't miss it. So if you're just joining, the Chargers schedule coming up now, 3-0 at this moment. This week, they play the Commander. I'm sorry, this week they play at the Giants. That should be an easy win for them. Home against the Commanders. Don't know about Jaden Daniels' status. At the Dolphins, home Colts, home Vikes, at Titans, home Steelers. This is the best you're going to get. If you like them like I do, as one of my backup plays to my Bills Super Bowl ticket, take the Chargers 15-1 to win the Super Bowl or 7-1 to win the AFC. It is the best you're going to get. And like I said about the Herbert stuff when Davin brought that up, that's probably the best you're going to get on Herbert if he keeps playing the way he is. All right, here's my look ahead to some games coming up in week number 3. How about some kegs and eggs in Dublin? You've got that Irish game with the Vikings and Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. That is a 9:30 start coming up on Sunday. Yes, you got to check the condition of J.J. McCarthy. You got to check the condition of you want to make sure you're looking to see what's happening injury-wise when you have an early game like that. I like the Vikes right now, not just because they destroyed Cincinnati with Wentz. I think Wentz is definitely a capable backup, as a former high-level number, first-round draft pick. It's below the key number. I think the Steelers are overvalued with Aaron Rodgers. Yes, they're capable of playing well, but yesterday they did not look great against the Patriots. I like that Vikings game, -2.5 on the Vikes. Have some kegs and eggs in Dublin. Also, you got to see what's going on with Jaden Daniels. Injury issues with the Commanders, but I love the Commanders. Also through a key number. Normally you don't see this a lot, and it's a lot of times baiting you to take the team minus the 2.5. I don't believe it is, because sharps are on both these plays I'm giving out right now. Commanders -2.5 at Atlanta. Atlanta 30-0 blasting at the hands of I would say not awful, but not a good Carolina team with a quarterback of Bryce Young that's getting better. But it was so bad, they put Kirk Cousins in. And if you've been following the Falcons for the last couple of years, you know how bad that is. Because Penix Jr. was drafted when they just re-signed Cousins, and he was supposed to be the guy. That's how bad they were. They brought Kirk Cousins back in. And I think Penix Jr. is going to be good, but right now, not there. I like the Commanders in that game. Just monitor, obviously, injury status. Commanders -2.5. Now, this is a little bit of a risky play, but let me give you my thought process here. The Tennessee Titans, who have obviously not looked great, but they're a work in progress, and I'm seeing flashes out of Cam Ward, the overall number 1 pick. Yes, they disappointed against the Colts, but there were moments where it looked like they were getting back in the game. They've got Eric Annemeyer, that wide receiver that scored some touchdowns. They've got power. They've got some pieces on offense to stay in games, and this game is through a key number. Right now, it's Titans +7.5 in Houston. The Texans can't score. If it was a Houston team from a couple years ago, it'd be a different story when they were scoring 30, 40 points a week. This Texans team can't score. I don't know what's going on with C.J. Stroud. They lost yesterday 17-10 to the Jaguars. You're catching 7.5. Yes, risky play with the rookie, but I think that the Titans maybe play their best game of the season, and they keep this within 1 score. That's all you got to hope for. NFL teams filled with parity. I really like the Titans +7.5 through that key number. And then obviously you want to see how bad David's Ravens lose tonight to the Lions. I'm kidding. They're probably going to win the game. But the Ravens right now are -3 in Kansas City against the Chiefs on that national 4:25 p.m. game next week. I believe the game's on CBS. I would probably wait till after tonight because you want to see about injuries. You would hate to see Lamar Jackson go out and you have the Ravens -3 goes down to even. I think that Baltimore is going to smash Kansas City. I think Kansas City obviously needed to get that win against the Giants. They still don't look right. The offense isn't there. And to me, you buy this down to 2.5 if everything goes okay tonight in Baltimore and there's no major injuries. Hopefully, if the line goes up, you still don't mind. Like I said, I would take it now. You don't want to take a game before a team plays, especially in a big game against the Lions. It's going to be a physical game. And the Ravens are already kind of banged up on defense. But I think that Baltimore is going to go into Kansas City and show they're the best team in the NFL along with the Buffalo Bills right now. I love that game. You buy it to 2.5 through the key number. If you want to take the money line, it's only minus 146. I like the Ravens right now to look at to some week 3 spreads. All right, let's get to, if we can dive in, the Squatch same game Monday Night Football parlays. We'll start with this one. This one I love. And you get a nice value there as far as, I boosted this up, and it was, 10-1. A Gibbs anytime touchdown, the over 53, the Lions alt spread plus 7.5. Seems like a homer parlay. And Sam Laporta anytime touchdown. I think they both are going to score tonight. I definitely think Gibbs is. He's a minus 130 favorite to score. That's a pretty good value for you before that boost. So almost 10-1 on that. That's one of my Squatch same game Monday Night Football parlays. That's more of the homer one though. But I also, to be honest, I would take out for a backup ticket. I would take out Laporta, and I would do Gibbs anytime touchdown, the over in the Lions plus 7.5. That pays 3-1. So I would do both of those when it comes to the Lions side of things tonight. And I also made this play on Bull Rush. This one I love as well. This is Laporta over 4.5 receptions, Gibbs over 55 yards rushing, and Lamar Jackson over 1.5 touchdown passes, over 4.5-1 on that. And, I think that Jackson, if the Ravens score a lot of points, you'll have Henry get maybe 1 or 2 on the ground. I think there's going to be a bunch through the air tonight because the Lions secondary has its issues. And I love the Lions' ability to run the ball tonight. That's why I like the Gibbs prop. And I think that there's going to be a lot of short passes to Sam Laporta through that kind of middle of the Ravens defense that's missing their big defensive tackle and some other pieces of the secondary. So I like that as well. That's played on Bull Rush right now, where I believe, Davin, I am in 16th place overall out of the entire field. So I always give out my Bull Rush plays, and we'll show the ones that I win as well. But I always will give you some ideas to put up stuff on the Bull Rush Survivor Contest. Here's one of my plays that I won this past weekend. This was, to me, easy money. Chargers money line, Cardinals plus 7.5. Cardinals probably should have won this game. But that $5,000 bet on the Bull Rush Survivor paid $10,000 and has gotten me in the top 20 right now. So that was my nice play that I had from the Bull Rush contest over the weekend. And this is just more Squatch magic because all I do is win. And I'm not being totally, all I do is win. I am being serious, but I'm not like a total arrogant, DB. I'm all about helping people win. I give out plays for free. I do it on my website, dtfsquatchfix.club. You can go check that out if you want. But I love giving out free plays, and I love helping people win money. This was my sizzler. And by the way, if people don't understand what boosts are, I think most people watching do, but maybe you're in a state that gambling, gambling's not legal, or you're in a state where it doesn't, you can't wager on these kind of sites that offer profit boosts. It just adds to your ticket. But if you look where it says plus 1076, that's what the original odds of this were. So $50 to win over 500. So I had Nico Collins. These are all, plays that I've talked about at times on this show as well. We've talked about, I love Nico Collins, 50 or more yards. Brenton Strange has been great for the Jags. That was one of my plays on the Bull Rush Survivor Contest last week. His receptions. Bucky Irving, 80 rushing yards or receiving or rushing yards combined. Hockenson, 4 receptions. He had 5. And then go to the next one, my man. Bijan Robinson, over 70 yards was easy. Well, I don't want to say easy, but I couldn't believe he did it more. And then Genty, 40 yards. He had over 60. And Tyler Warren, who I love, even though he's a Penn State in the line, over 30 yards. He had 38. That was a pretty nice Squatch hit. I do these every week, so I'll continue to throw those out on the show. And you can, as I mentioned, always check them out at dtmsquatchfix.club. But please go to bullrush.com. It's so much fun being in this Survivor contest. All you got to do is spend $20, actually really $15 when you use the code EDGE. You get that $5 cash back bonus. We use the code EDGE. You get into the Survivor satellite. You finish in the top 10 spots. You get into the main draw. Remember, going towards week 11, if you win a week, you obviously get automatically entered. You reach all the way to week 20 where the real prizes are given out. And the minimum you can win then is $200. But starting week 11, there's $500 cash for first place. And there's money for second and third, cash prizes. So get involved now. There's still plenty of time to go. To be honest, a Survivor contest where you pick one team and you don't use it once a year, you can't start in those late. Like you'll see some of them online, week 5, brand new Survivor contest. That's totally different than this because in those, it's a brand new contest. You can't enter a Survivor contest that let's say started week 1. You can't re-enter that one. This you can enter as we go forward in this season, and it just gives you a better chance to win the $100,000 prize pool, $50K to the first place winner. So get involved. It's awesome. It's one of the most unique things I've seen. People are loving it. You can bet whatever you want, wager whatever you want when it comes to, point spreads, player props, anytime touchdowns. And all the minimum you have to do each week with your $100,000 of virtual money is have 2 bet slips. You can bet $2 if you want on like 40 leg parlays, or you can bet 50 grand, or 99,000 and 1,000, or whatever you want. And you get to show your skills when it comes to picking games, picking props, picking spreads, picking totals, doing crazy 20 leg parlays. This time you can do it. I always yell at my friends for doing this with real money. You can do it because it's virtual money. And if you hit, you're going to be in first place and have a great chance to win a lot of money. So check that out at bullrush.com. All right, we'll be back live next week at 6 p.m. on Monday Night Football, or Monday night for the Monday Night Edge. We've got next week another twofer, 2 Monday night games. I know I was talking to David before the show, and he's like, they're doing more of that. They've been doing this a lot. I think there's 3 or 4 of them this week, the year. It'll be Jets and Dolphins at 7:15, and then Bengals at Broncos at 8:15. One game's at ESPN, the Jets game, the Dolphins game's on ESPN. The other game's on ABC, the Bengals and the Broncos. So it's not the full early, late start like they do sometimes. It's the staggered start, which I know some people don't like. But I always take 2 Monday night games over one. So we'll be here at 6 o'clock with more plays and a recap of the week before. And we got a great guest coming up next week as well. Big thanks to my man, David Shire, our great producer, Trent Air, Neil, all the great team at Bull Rush. Most importantly, thanks to all of you once again for all of my Jewish friends watching this. Lashana Tova, very happy and healthy Jewish New Year. Next week will be Yom Kippur, the holiest day for Jews as well. So please, it's a tough time in the world to be Jewish somewhere in some places. So please, spread love the best you can to your friends that are celebrating the Jewish New Year. And until next time, that's going to do it for us. Keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars. We'll keep giving you winners and helping you cash those tickets and getting you involved with the great Survivor contest at Bull Rush. Till next time, though, Happy New Year to one and all. Enjoy this week of football. We'll see you next Monday night for a twofer. Why get one when you get 2 for the price of 1? Till then, believe in the dream daily. It's the Squatch saying so long. We'll see you next time on the Monday Night Edge, powered by Bull Rush. Believe in the dream. I'm out of here.